What is up? AJ Larkin. We got some Terps lacrosse representing on the show today. Thanks so much for making time.
Annabelle, thank you for having me. I'm super honored. Excited to be here and excited to talk to you.
Yeah, it is so fun for me to interview lacrosse guests on this show. And the question that I ask everyone is, what are you all about right now? So is there a song, a snack, a restaurant, a new life hobby outside of lacrosse that you are all about right now?
So that's a great question. I would say I'm all about chicken parm, especially being in the season. That's like my go-to meal before every game. And say I'm all about some country music. I don't know. I think today was our first nice day. It's about 80 degrees out right now, so it's getting some summer vibes in. So it's definitely 80 degrees, good vibes, some country music. That's what I'm all about.
Chicken parm. And some chicken parm. I think the chicken parm will have to be less of an option the warmer that it gets. So maybe those two things will change. Where are you getting the chicken parm from? Is there a certain spot around the school?
Yes, absolutely. Shout out Mama Lucia's in College Park, Maryland. It's the best out there for sure.
All right, people gotta go check it out. But you play for one of the most iconic lacrosse programs at Maryland with Coach Tillman. How would you describe this year's Maryland lacrosse team?
Yes, I think I would describe us as some grinders. I think we have a lot of experience, and there's no secret. I think this season has not gone the way that we expected it to go, but at the same way, nobody said it was going to be easy. And there's a lot of time ahead of us. There's a lot of season left, despite the warm weather catching up to us so fast. There's so much time. We have everything we need in our locker room. We have everything we need in front of us. All of our goals are still achievable. And, the biggest thing is, we talk about it all the time, no one said it was going to be easy, especially for the goals that we want to achieve. Those things are not easy to reach. And as you know, as a lacrosse player, anything can happen on any given day. So I'd say definitely some grinders and some hard-nosed dudes. So.
Well, that's what it takes, right? And you're right. No one says that it's going to be easy. And if you want to have those goals on your list, you got to expect that you're going to face adversity. But take me back to your decision-making process to get to Maryland. Obviously, an incredible program. But why did you end up deciding to go there?
Yeah, 100%. So if you didn't know already, I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. So right up the road, about 45 minutes to an hour. And during the recruiting process, it was a little weird for me. I was actually a COVID kid, so during that whole time, it was kind of no contact with the coaches in person and didn't really get official visits. And it was kind of hard to get a full grasp of what you're going to get out of a program because of the whole shift of everything. So it made my decision actually pretty hard. But during the whole recruiting process, obviously, being close to home was super important to me. But Coach Tillman and the coaching staff were just so welcoming during that time that it made my decision so easy. Coach Tillman is, in my opinion, the best coach of all time. Coach Bernhardt's the best defensive coach of all time. And just the way that he welcomes people in to the program and also values people's morals and character more so above their lacrosse skill is also something that I found really attractive. His main goal, he talks about all the time, is to build men outside of lacrosse, and then the lacrosse stuff will come. It's about getting 1% better every day, and that was something that I was really, really attracted to. And then on the flip side, I'm a huge family guy. I have a large, very large family. My friends make fun of me all the time because I have real cousins, and then I have a ton of fake cousins, family friends.
So fake cousins are just friends, is what you're saying? They're not twice removed type of thing.
Yeah, family friends. But I have a ton of them. And my mom and dad always said it always takes a village to raise somebody. And now I'm blessed for my parents to do that for me and to give them the opportunity to come and watch me and be able to connect with one another is something that I really have valued over the past couple of years. And it's honestly been one of the biggest blessings I think in my life, just being able to connect with everybody, especially my family in Maryland. So,
That's really cool. And it's so fun just to be able to share in your own lacrosse experience and the highs and the lows, right? You know, during after big wins and after hard losses to have your family, your friends, and your fake cousins. I
Yeah,
guess I should
exactly.
start calling my close friends fake cousins as well.
Yeah.
Do you have a, obviously you don't have any favorites, but do you have a fake cousin that really loves the Maryland lacrosse team?
Um, yeah, I have plenty. I'd say some of my best friends I grew up with really love the team. A bunch of them actually went to Maryland with me, or a couple years older. Some are a couple years younger, and they love Maryland lacrosse. I don't think they've missed a home game. Last year they came out to Gillette. 2 years ago, 2 years ago they came out to Philly. And they just love it, and it just like warms my heart. I know exactly where they sit every home game. Just hearing them cheer for me, and occasionally I hear them throw a couple chirps to the other team. Give me a quick giggle during the game, but I just always love seeing whether them, my family, or my friends. So definitely it warms my heart.
That's good. Well, hey, let them do the chirping so that you can just focus on the
Uh,
game and focus
yeah,
on
yeah,
lacrosse. It takes a weight off your shoulder, okay? Somebody
yeah,
else can take
absolutely.
that burden for you. But you are a senior, but you also have an extra year of eligibility next year, so you will be potentially taking your fifth year, but that means you redshirted freshman year, which so many college athletes go through a redshirt, typically freshman year, regardless of whether or not they choose to or not. So, what's your redshirt story, and why did that become part of your story?
Yeah, absolutely. It's actually really, really unique. So I'm glad you asked, Annabelle. But so obviously coming into college, as you know, I'm sure, it's definitely kind of a culture shock on every different level. Um, Probably in high school, you're kind of a big fish in a small pond type of situation. Then you go to being a small fish in a big pond. Um, Go from playing a lot to not playing, and that's just how it is. And I honestly wouldn't have wanted any other way, because I wouldn't have been able to grow into the player that I am today, but also the player I still look to be. And wasn't able to learn so much from such great, especially defenders who were here when I was a freshman as well. Um, but I actually didn't know I was going to redshirt until the spring, and more specifically, our first game, which is like super abnormal because we have 5 or 6 guys in our class that actually redshirted, and Tills is known for kind of doing that, as Maryland is. We're very big into development, and so we were actually playing Richmond. We were beating them pretty bad, and it was at home, and he's going down the sideline. It was the fourth quarter of the game, and he's like, "Oh, you're redshirt, and you're redshirt, and you're redshirt." And he comes up to me. He's like, "Oh, do you want to go in the game?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, coach! Like, put me in."
Because other players had said that they were already going to
Yeah,
redshirt,
yeah,
like they
yeah.
already knew. Okay.
Yeah, they already had the conversation with coach and everything, and I was kind of left in the blue. And he's like, "Do you want to go in the game?" You know, first time college, ever putting the college jersey on, you're like, "Yeah, like absolutely, would love to go in the game." And one thing leads to another. He's like, "Do you want a red shirt?" And I was like, "What? Like, what are you talking about?"
On the sideline,
Yeah, on the
like during
sideline.
the fourth quarter.
Yeah, on the sideline. So then I'm tweaking out. I remember Eric,
What?
my roommate now, and Daniel Kelly came up to me, and they're like, "Trust me, you should do it. You should do it." They call a timeout. Coach says my name to put me in the game, and I go to my D coach, and I'm like, "Coach, I don't know what to do." And he just grabs me and throws me on the sideline, because the rule is like if you step on the field, like you lose your
Mm.
eligibility. So then we talked after the game, had a few chuckles, and then I talked to my parents, and it definitely was a pretty hard freshman year. I think starting from the fall all the way to the end of the spring, it definitely was painful. But coming back my sophomore year, it was easily the best decision I ever made, and I'm lucky to have another one. So it's definitely
That's got to be one for one. I mean,
yeah.
there's definitely some athletes who have experienced a out of nowhere conversation about that, but it's so great that you can look back on it and laugh, and to have the support system around you too, to say like, hey, like this is what we actually think is best. And it's so awesome that you had the opportunity for a coach to say, hey, I see something in you, like we don't want to waste a year
Yeah.
of you sitting on the sideline. And
Yeah.
obviously when you are sideline, you can bring so much value to a team still,
Hmm.
but you were given an athletic ability for a reason. And so that's really cool and absolutely hilarious story. But explain more about just the heart of that year, because there are so many athletes that, whether they're injured for a redshirt reason or they have to sit out like you did, just really because of your age, What did you lean on during that time, and what really helped you stay positive and add to the team and add value to the team when maybe it wasn't what you would have loved to be doing personally?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've had more problems after my past 3 years of playing physically than I had my freshman year. It was more so the mental aspect that really, really was hard for me. I think going from not playing or no playing in high school to then not playing, and also trying to find the value of where you bring to the team was pretty hard for me as well. And also just now looking back on it, like being redshirted, I think is like one of the highest honors that you could have. That a coach looks upon you, because they're really putting a lot of investment and value into your future, which you don't realize in the moment. And now I really take that for granted, and I'm really grateful for that. But that I think was really something that I struggled with. I didn't understand. I was so confused. I wanted to help the team. We particularly didn't have a great year that year, and I wanted to do everything I could to help, even though I wasn't ready, and I wasn't ready. And, it was really, really hard. Everything, like I said before, from the fall until the spring, it was hard. And I really leaned on my family. We actually had something going on with my mom, some health issues that year, which was really hard as well. And I also leaned on my faith a lot. I was And I think it was the transition from college where I kind of got so tied up with like everything going on and my mom being sick and the transition and personal stuff that was going on, that I kind of like didn't lose my relationship with the Lord, but I kind of strayed away in a way. And I really tried to get connected to him again, through a small group and through a missionary, we call it the Catholic Student Center at University of Maryland. And it was like kind of halfway through that spring where I started feeling like the joy again to play, and also just like felt happier and just like being connected, and with especially like one of my best friends. It was mainly me and him that kind of did this Bible study together with this missionary, and now we've been able to follow through with it and do it the past couple years, and now we have a majority on our team actually comes, which is awesome. But that was, I think, one of the biggest things I tried to lean on to really help me out, and it did. It really did, and I wouldn't take it any other way.
That's incredible, and it's cool to hear the impact that it still is having on your college career and your life, and maybe something that you wouldn't have found if you didn't go through that more difficult personal season. Could you explain a little bit more about like what you were either learning or hearing or understanding or being reminded of when you were going to be poured into like that? Because it's also a decision that you're making. You could do a million other things in college to fill your time or to make you feel better, or to have community around you, but you're deciding to go be poured into and do community, to glorify the Lord and say, hey, I need you. You're not saying I'm better than you. You're saying I need you. What did you remember feeling in that moment, in that season, and really learning from that opportunity?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny you asked that, because I still think about it, like to this day. And it was one of the first times I think I realized that, like, I think from the area I grew up in and kind of the activities I did in high school, and like Baltimore's such a hotbed lacrosse area, it became like one of my biggest identities. And I think freshman year was so hard because you went from being a big fish in a little pond to a small fish in a big pond, yes, but like you're struggling. Like I was struggling in lacrosse, and like school was hard, and like what I thought my identity was, I was like a lacrosse player. And now, like looking back on that, like the biggest thing I learned was that I'm not a lacrosse player. Like I play lacrosse, but like I'm a child of the Lord, and I'm a very enthusiastic, outgoing person, and like I love to give to others, and there's so much more I can give to everybody else, like on a daily basis, than just playing lacrosse. And I think that was like the identity I had about myself, was like, if I'm not playing, I'm not doing successful, or like if I'm not playing, I'm not making an impact. And I think that was what was such a hard pill for me to swallow at the time. But really stepping back, and I learned a lot of this also my sophomore year. And I ended up playing my sophomore year, but it was still very hard. Like, we had a couple transfers come in, and they're some of my greatest friends now, and I learned so much from them. But it was very similar that spring as well. Just trying to separate not myself from others, but also to like figure out like what's my identity, like what do I want to be known for on a daily basis, and also like when I leave here, like do I want to be known as the guy that just like loved lacrosse, or do you want to be known as like the happy, like enthusiastic, outgoing guy that had like an impact on everybody he was around? And that's like what I really want to do still to this day, and have that impact on others. And that was like, I think what I really came out of it with. And I'm not perfect at any shape or form. Like, I still mess up in so many different facets, and I'm still learning, and that's still something that I'm just trying to work on. And that's 3 years later. So I think that's definitely what I walked away with for sure.
Well, AJ, thank you for sharing that. That is so awesome. And no one is perfect, and we're all still learning. And I think even for me, hosting a faith and sports podcast, it's not, you being bold about your faith saying, I got it all figured out. It's you saying, I don't have it all figured out and I need Jesus, right? Like, that is really what you're saying. And I love that you talked about how Maryland lacrosse is a hotbed, right? It is like so fun and so cool, and it's so awesome to be an amazing lacrosse player from Maryland who gets to play. Like, those are all good things and the opportunities that the Lord has gifted you with, but it's not the only impact that you're having at Maryland. I know that you've been involved with other organizations around campus and being, a student athlete leader around your school. Can you just expand on what that also looks like to not just be the lacrosse player on campus? Because, right, the Lord has gifted you the opportunity to wear that jersey and wear that name across your chest, which can be almost like a superhero to some younger kids and even the other students on campus.
Yeah, it's definitely like such a blessing. I think one of the first thing Coach tells us our freshman year, which you kind of just like laugh at, and you're like, ha ha ha, like, okay, like this guy's crazy, and he would laugh at that, but is like, he's like, you guys are celebrities on campus, like you need to watch what you do. And you don't really realize it first, but then I think the older you get, the more people you get to know. And really a lot of people are looking at you. And it's not maybe just our sport, but I think athletes in general. And there's been so many great experiences I've had, like with kids after games, being able to just like, it's just an awesome experience. Like being able to play in Maryland, like for my home state, and put on that jersey and like you said, like that superhero, like kind of mindset for, especially for younger kids. I remember it was something that I would come to Maryland games when I was a kid. And I remember I was actually taking pictures of people coming out of the tunnel, and some of the pictures I took of the players were actually like now, like my former coaches, like in high school, which was awesome. But it's really just such an honor. And I think that's also what Coach says there. It allows us to hold each other to such a higher standard, which is something that we also take a lot of pride in. And I think that's also led me to what you were saying before as a student leader on campus as well. I'm blessed to be able to actually be the president of our SAC committee, which is a Student Athlete Athletic Council. So I'm able to kind of lead and the student athletes in different events that help with career development, team engagement, and also community give back events, which are awesome. One of my biggest goals last year when applying for the position was to just try to bring everybody together and give them opportunities, give them so many different opportunities that they could never have the excuse of, I don't know where to find it, or like our school doesn't offer that, because we do. But sometimes like student athletes are just so busy that it kind of gets shoved under the rug. So being able to present them with so many community give back opportunities with companies like Under Armour, which I actually work for, which is a different story, but being able to help out at other kids' games and being able to kind of make all these announcements, being able to meet mentors, different career nights, like stuff like that, I think were a lot of different goals that I had, and we were able to accomplish a lot. And but yeah, it's definitely just such a blessing. And like I definitely wouldn't have been able to do it not without like my team or my executive board, the advisors I have, but also without the Lord. So
I think it's so important to do things outside of your sport, still at school, because there's so many awesome people to meet and so many relationships that you can have, and really just expanding on the opportunity that the Lord has given you to go to Maryland, right? It's not just to play lacrosse; it's to do so many other things. And if you have the qualities to lead, you want to do that to the fullest ability. But I know you did play FCA lacrosse, and so I'm really interested. In what ways has FCA lacrosse maybe impacted not only just your X's and O's and what you're able to do on the lacrosse field, but just your faith?
yeah, absolutely. So obviously, before we were talking about Frank Kelly, I got to play with one of my close friends and his son, J.K. Kelly, who actually plays at Cornell, and got to meet so many of my greatest friends on that team. EJ Vasile, guys like Jordan Ray, just so many awesome people that I'm like super close with. And yeah, playing for FCA was awesome. I didn't start with them until like my 8th grade year, going to my freshman year. And it was a decision that I would never take back. I think them helping me grow in lacrosse and giving me the opportunity to be recruited by Maryland is one thing. But also them putting us in an environment with great coaches, one, but also great student athlete coaches at the time, which were whether people in college or just recently graduated, who helped us connect with our faith and really showed me kind of the ropes of like it's cool to like be close to the Lord. Like it's not something you should, one, be embarrassed about, and two, it's not something that you should be afraid to talk about. And I think them kind of showing that way for me, and being able to connect with so many people, whether it's during my time playing like club ball or being able to have the opportunity to play in Lake Placid with them, was such an awesome opportunity. And still connect with the guys, and I'm still close with director Ryan Hornberg and Kyle Savick, guys who I hold very close to my heart as great mentors as well. And every opportunity I have to help give back to the FCA program is something that I take a lot of pride in as well. So definitely I wouldn't take that opportunity for granted one bit. So
That is so special. And I had my first opportunity really to get involved with FCA lacrosse. I went to their national camp over the past summer, and it was amazing to see obviously the campers that were there, but the student athlete leaders who were like pouring into these kids and were so excited to coach them, yes, but also share the gospel and talk about Jesus, and just encourage them in ways that, like you were saying earlier, you're so much more than just a lacrosse player. And to see the impact like in real time that was having on the campers was so special. And so just so cool that is part of your story. And I think what you talked about, the boldness, and that's a journey for every believer, right? It's not, I don't think, I mean, I haven't met too many people that come out of the womb and they're like, I love Jesus, and they're going to post it everywhere and talk about it. And not everyone is, needs to be extremely vocal on social media, but that's just the world that we live in today. What has helped you now in college, right? In a new environment, not in the FCA world, in the bubble that you might have been in, still be bold about your faith, or still not be ashamed about being a believer. And actually, like you're saying, it's actually cool to trust in the Lord.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things obviously was, I think, my freshman year, like I said before, like learning like my identity outside of lacrosse. A big part of that was kind of trying to figure out and connect with people who kind of were on the same spot as myself. And one of those people was my best friend Eric Kohler. Whether that's we were going to church together, we were trying to read the scripture together, we were trying to start our Bible study for our team together. Like there were so many different things that were made it so difficult. One, but that we did together to grow in our relationship with one another, but also with the Lord. And I think what really helped me was growing the Bible study over 3 years. Like it started with me and Eric, and then my sophomore year, it really became like actually Frank's nephew, Daniel Kelly, and then about like 4 other guys. And then last year we got up to like 20 guys, and now we're about like 25 to 28 guys. And it's just like growing that has been and made me so much more comfortable. And it's a place where I know that I won't be judged by any of those guys, not because I'm also their teammate, but because I respect them and they respect me, and like the stuff that I get to bring and be vulnerable in those groups is a lot of value. And also with that, being able to connect with people at the church, at the CSC, and different missionaries, whether that's Jack Winkert or Caleb Gang, and meeting with them one-on-one and talking, because I don't know everything. Like I said before, like I'm not perfect in any shape or form. And like meeting with them and hearing about their journey, but also about like their struggles and what they've gone through and how I can relate to that. And because there's so many like different points of relation. This reminds me of kind of something we say at Maryland is like when you're a freshman, you always reach out to the seniors or to the older guys, because I guarantee you they've been through the same thing. And it's pretty similar. Like when you kind of think about your faith, like we're all growing in some sorts of shape or form, right? And there's different people and different experiences, but we're all kind of going on this roller coaster with the Lord, fighting through different struggles, fighting through different sins, and trying to just do our best.
I love what you said. That is so important about finding like adult leaders who are older and wiser and have been through more life than you have. And like you were saying, there's the years that it's taken of growing this Bible study. It is so cool to hear, because I know for me in my college athletic experience, there were so many years when I would like try to start a little group. And I maybe got discouraged by numbers, or I didn't feel equipped to lead, or I had film study on top of homework, on top of travel, like on top of lacrosse, all the things. And there were so many roadblocks that came my way. But at going to the adult leaders in the community who you knew, and even if it's just an older person, not on your team, but another older athlete, like that was so important. So I love your call to action, really, to seek after people who are older than you, because you got so much on your plate. Yes, you need to lead your team Bible study in some cases, but you also need to be led as well. And so I think that is so important for the athlete that is a believer and wants to pursue the Lord while being a college athlete and wants to include their teammates, but maybe they don't get the same response that you might have year 3 of your Bible study. What's maybe some encouragement that you would give them to keep going and to keep pursuing the Lord and to keep inviting people, even when maybe you don't get a text back or nobody even likes a text in the group message?
Yeah, no, there's so many times that's what happened, and there's been other times where we've struggled to get it on the calendar, and like we have our group chats, but everybody's just swamped, and it's week to week. Like we have an away game, or the schedule shifts, or there's film, or it honestly could be just like the only free time we have is at 8 p.m. and everybody's already wiped, and you know that you're not going to get really much engagement. So it is really hard. It really is, especially being a student athlete and like finding that time. But I think for those student leaders, the biggest advice I could give, that actually one of my mentors gave me this past winter, I was struggling because I didn't really feel equipped to lead. Like I have so much else on my plate, and I wanted to give as much as I could to our Bible study, and I was struggling to find like a good guide, and didn't want somebody to come in for the Bible study, because I wanted people to become vulnerable, and in like an environment like that, and really keep it within our team. And I was struggling, and I think one of the biggest pieces of advice he gave me was make sure you're getting fed too. And when he said that, I really like kind of cocked my head like this. I was like, what does that even mean? And he was like, AJ, like you're giving so much just to other people. Like remember why you do this. Like kind of remember like who got you here. And then I really like kind of stood back, and I was like, wow, like that kind of hit me like kind of like a baseball bat to the dome, you know? And like hearing that, it reminded me that like even myself, like when everything is crazy going on in your life, and like you want to be able to give as much as you can to whether that's your team or your student group. Like you need to remember that like you need to be led and fed at some points, where that's finding time during your week and doing that one-on-one with somebody, or really just taking that time to like meditate by yourself. But remembering that, I think, is what really kind of inspires me more, but also gives me the fuel and motivation to want to do it more as well. And when it comes to the point of when people aren't responding or it's hard to find a schedule, just also remember like why you're doing it. Like you're doing it for the Lord, and it's all with good intention. And there's always going to be somebody that's going to say yes, and that's all it takes, is one yes, and from there it just builds and builds and builds. And talking to people and just being vulnerable with them about your faith kind of is inspiring to them. I know I get inspired every time somebody talks in our student group, that whether I didn't expect them to talk or we get a new guy, and I get super juiced up about it, because that's just them coming in general is them being kind of vulnerable in a way, and showing that not only they want to grow, but they want to stay connected with you, and they want to see what it's all about. So I think really finding the joy in the little things as well.
That is great advice, and really just making the space, right? Because you never know who's going to show up on that one week, or, had a tough day and wants to come and maybe might not like that group text. And so I think that is so awesome. And it also just shows the priorities that you have, because there are so many things going on in your day to day. I'm sure you have a crazy practice block with hours on top of film, on top of an extra workout, right? And all the things, and then school, right? So there's so much going on for you, and it's cool to see athletes prioritizing their faith and really leading in that space, not only for their team, but just on campus. And something unique about your college experience is that you've been to the last 2 national championships with Maryland. And I am no stranger to know how difficult it is when you don't get the win that you want at the end. I lost 2 back-to-back national championships in college, so I feel you, but certainly an incredible opportunity to learn from those as well. Through those, awesome opportunities, but also tough losses, what has the Lord maybe put on your heart, even just in this senior year for you?
Yeah, I think, yeah. I think,
yeah, if anyone's wondering, the pain doesn't go away.
Yeah,
it's still there.
It's like, I think when I look back on it, and I'm really happy I can do this, there's so many great memories. Like, I remember, obviously, 2 years ago, losing Notre Dame still burns my heart to death. It sucks. But I remember, like, being able to experience every single day with guys like Luke Weirman, Ajax Zapatello, Jack Chorus, the list goes on. That was 2 years ago. And then last year, that one hurt even more. Closer game, Cornell, like, fighting for what we lost the year before. And those are some of even my closer friends, like Jack McDonald, Logan McNaney, Daniel Kelly. List goes on again, Colin Burlace. And I could just keep on going and going. And it definitely stinks, But those are scars that you have to wear. I think as well as I do, like those are scars that will never go away. But you need to find, I think, the joy in those moments as well. Like, we got to spend the longest amount of time than 2 teams in the country, other than the team that won, with our team. That's the joy, like building those memories, building those connections with those guys. And there's such great memories that I'll never take for granted. Going into my senior year, however, what inspires me the most about this year is to do it for the guys that lost those 2 years. And then also mainly to do it for my class. My class is extremely tight. Like, we're an extremely tight-knit group. And we haven't really accomplished much at Maryland. We've lost 2 Big Ten championships, 2 national championships, a couple Big Ten regular season titles. So there's a big resume that we've built up of a lot of losing. And that's not a woe is me call at all. We take those things and we let it fuel us, and we use those experiences in the past to help us in the future, I think, and learn lessons off of those. And, I would like to do nothing more than to win, not only for this team, but for this program, whether that's a national championship is one thing, but even winning this weekend, that's the biggest message we're trying to send, I think, to one another, is just it's one game at a time. And right now, like I'm going to win Tuesday. I'm going to win today. I'm going to win practice today. And we're going to win practice today. And, we got a great day out. And that's kind of the mentality that we're trying to go forward in. And because we know that you think too far ahead, you end up overlooking people, you ever looking your opponent, and that's when slips start to happen. And we know that if we attack every day, one day at a time, our goal is to be the best Maryland can be, better than yesterday's Maryland, better than the game before's Maryland, and that's kind of the attitude that we're taking forward after, especially these past 2 years, and what we've learned. And Coach Tills talks about all the time, it's be the best. It's 1% better every day, and just finding the joy in the little things, and being together and building those connections with one another. It's just having fun together, because it really does slip away. I remember it was the Blink of an Eye we just talked about as my freshman years, and I'm blessed to have another one, but there's plenty of people on my team who aren't coming back next year, and I want to do it for them.
My last question for you is, before games, do you wear headphones or no headphones?
I definitely wear headphones.
And what are you listening to?
I'm listening to a little bit of country a couple hours before the game, then some EDM, and then some rap music.
There you go. You're covering it all.
Yeah, you got to hit it all. And then
all.
I'll take my headphones off. But yeah, that's about it.
I like it. Well, AJ, thank you so much for taking time in the thick of your season to come on the podcast. We so appreciate it, and love to just hear your story through all the aspects that lacrosse has brought you, and for us to cheer you on. So good luck with the rest of your season, and go Terps.
Thank you very much, Annabelle. It was a blast. It was such an honor, so thank you for having me.